say that is the main foundation. So come let us work hand in hand, because this is our land. Come my brother, come my sister, and let us build a nation together. Oh, yeah, Remember, the key to success is working hard. For our country, we must have regard. Forget all your differences, let we start to build. And onward to progress we surely will.
Yes, forget all your differences and let we start to build, because we're moving forward with the National Democratic Congress administration. The Most Honorable Deacon Mitchell and his team, they continue to do a fantastic job, a marvelous job, and Grenadians everywhere are happy. I want to encourage those on Facebook and YouTube to please share the live. Sharing is caring. I did mention for the radio audience, I am still under the weather. After Carnival, we normally battle a cold or a flu, because it is what it is. Every year, those things do happen. And for people like me who interact with great many people, it's kind of unavoidable. I want to start off this morning by saying, strangely, I am not hearing the NNP complaining about road work. And I thought about it, and this morning, while I was outside, I saw a number of people, coming from doing their task. And I realized all of them were smiling. Because you see, the NDC never stopped any of the social safety net programs. In fact, they have increased many of them. So you have more people walking on the road, more people able to find a little blind, as we would say it, to do a fortnight, to get a contract, to be a supervisor, to earn something, to send their children back to school. And we know it's really geared towards helping parents send their children back to school. For those who do not have what it takes to deep in the kitty and pull out a certain amount of money and buy this and buy that to send the children back to school. So the roadwork comes in nicely, handily, right? Timely for many of the parents. They look forward to that. So the NDC continues with that, and quite a number of fortnights or contracts are out, and there's a number of fortnights. So Grenadians again are happy. And if you don't know, this program costs or will cost the government millions of dollars. If you don't know, the government is pumping millions of dollars through the debushing program in the hands of ordinary people. And they're not selecting or choosing just NDC supporters, but they're giving people across the board who need. In fact, it's quite difficult to get people to walk on the road now because there's so much construction taking place, so much work taking place in construction, in agriculture, on the farms and garden and so on. And then you have businesses who are doing well, So they're taking on more employees. So people are at work. People are at work. But it was just strange that I was not hearing the NNP supporters crying, screaming, complaining, bawling, and that kind of thing. Because around this time, that is what they normally do. Even if many a times it is kind of a fake cry or a fake bawl. You just want people to believe that things are bad and that they're not getting the bushing work and so on. But indeed they're getting, but they can't satisfy. So a lot of people are doing that. They're a part of that program and they're happier than before. So that's something that you need to know. Hundreds of people are getting employed through the debushing program, and that never stopped. That continues. Also, and we're talking about back to school and education. We're talking about back to school and education. So the debushing program, it will help parents to be able to send their children back to school. Then you have teachers who are better off than they were last, June, July, because they're now permanent. They were regularized, made permanent, and able to go to the bank or the credit union now. Over 200 or so teachers have been made permanent by this administration, the NDC administration. And remember, there were a number of them who were made permanent before. I don't know what the total looks like for teachers or nurses, right? Because the government has been at it for the last many, many, many months and maybe years trying to make the teachers and make the nurses and make public servants who are temporary permanent. So that's all in keeping with a conducive learning environment. If teachers are happy, then the students will be happy. They will be well taught. The environment will be good for learning. So teachers are being made permanent. It's a process. It takes some time, but step by step, they're getting there. And then I spoke to you about the uniform and school supplies program. It used to be called the voucher program, the back to school voucher program. So the government, again, will be pumping millions of dollars in the hands of parents through that program so that they can buy the socks, the vests, the skirts, the pants, the bags, the shoes for the kids, for the students. So that social safety net program continues. Then you know the school bus program that continues, where students are assisted, where buses are designated to travel on a particular route, pick up the students, bring them to school, pick them up from school, and bring them back home. That's commendable. That's a big thing. If you don't know, it's a big thing. And then you have the school books program that continues. So parents going to get their books for their kids. They may not get all, but they would get a number of books that will help them to send their children to school. the free hot meal program at the school come September, that will be again functional. It's not perfect, but the students can get a hot meal every day. So staying home because you don't have something on your stomach or in your stomach is not an excuse. You're going to get something hot. You're going to get something good when you go to school. The students who completed secondary school and now going on to TAMCC or NULO, again, the free tuition program. The government is paying your tuition for you. $810. That's millions of dollars again. The government is pumping directly into education and by extension in the hands of parents, because you can actually give them the $810 and say to them, go and pay TAMCC, or you can pay TAMCC direct. So it's the same thing, right? So all how you look at it, the government continues to help parents and to help our young people to access education, because education is liberation. And we have to commend this government because things are tough all around the world. There are crises all around the world. But this government continues to stay the course. You could see what they're doing with taxpayers' dollars. And they have to be commended. So, anyhow you look at it, the government is serious about education. And there are a number of schools that were refurbished over the holidays, who got labs, or the labs are being constructed. Repainting done on some of the schools. New furniture delivered for some of the schools. Some of the schools, the yards were redone. The fencing redone. The roof for some of the schools redone or fixed or reconditioned. So things are happening for the education system. Some of the playing fields near to the school, because schools are beneficiaries of, or schools are beneficiary of the playing fields being upgraded and lit and that kind of stuff, because many schools are close to a playing field. There are very, very few schools that are not close to a playing field. Right? So it augurs well for students and education and learning and development and holistic development. So again, I must mention this because around this time the NNP, they love to complain. They're part of the complaining industry. And many a times you ask them, why are you complaining? It's because their leader tell them to complain. Or some pundit on their side, or some surrogate told them to complain and scream and bawl. In fact, they are now complaining that our beloved Prime Minister played jab. You could imagine that? How foolish these people could be. It's ludicrous. When you think about it, a friend sent me a screenshot this morning, and she said, Kem, good morning. Watch what someone tell Sheldon Scott under his live. He running his mouth on the Prime Minister because he played jab. Right? What's that effect? And the person, Roger Brown, said, it's a good thing they give you mic to make your assness and not a cell phone. That bill would have been insurmountable, right? So, in other words, anyhow you look at it, they will complain, they will have all kinds of stuff to say. Jab Jab is a part of us. That's our culture. I played Jab Jab. I met the Prime Minister. We took a photo together. I had a damn good time in St. George's playing Jab Jab, enjoying the carnival. I went to St. David. I did the same thing there. And if I had the opportunity to go to Sautez, I would have done that. Or Guave, I would have done that. So what? That's part of us. So to complain like a bad old Fouchette about, to be on a radio program or a podcast or whatever you call it, and complain like a bad old Fouchette with a dreadlocks about the Prime Minister, our beloved Prime Minister playing Jab Jab or Carnival, I mean, it means that you're out of touch. The NNP is out of touch, They're out of touch with reality. And you know what's amazing? Before the carnival, or before the peak of the carnival, they were attacking the Prime Minister to say that he made certain statements, and mind you, they took it out of context because he was simply saying it is too early to be playing Jab Jab, blocking the road when people have to go to work, when people have to go to school, when people have to go about their business, and particularly, places like Grand Dance and so on, very busy traffic way. Simple. He didn't say, well, you can't play. You could play, but you have to be responsible. And I think there was an artist, I think it was Shotpree, right, who actually came back and say, look, they misinterpreted what our beloved Prime Minister said. He was really speaking about responsibility, being responsible. Yes, you could play a Jab Jab, but you have to be responsible. So they were attacking him for that. The same NNP goons, zygotes, and sycophants, right? Because they wanted to look good in the eyes of the Jab Jab. But now that the carnival is over and they know who is the real Jab Jab and who really represents Jab Jab in the country and who's an ally of the Jab Jab, who's an advocate of the Jab Jab, now that they know that, then they're attacking him. They're attacking our beloved Prime Minister. Well, he shouldn't play Jab Jab and he shouldn't this. I want to tell them all day, but I'm going to hold it back. Because that's a part of our culture. It's a part of us, right? People play the carnival. There are people who save their kakada. For months, they walk their tail out and they save their damn money. That's their money, right? And they enjoy the mass, the fancy mass, the Monday night mass, this kind of thing. What I have to do with you if you don't want to partake? That's your business. But sometimes you got to mind your damn business and understand that what you may like, another person may not like it. If you want to do your thing, that's your business. But everybody has a free will to do what they want to do, right? It's simple like that. So sometimes you got to, so the NNP, they bitter, they sour, and they don't even know why they sour, why they bitter, why they angry. Come on, carnival is waiting. Next year there will be carnival, even if you're not wrong or not, you're going to be there. Simple like that. And some of you who playing self-righteous, go in on your closet and you would see. Be very wary and careful about people who playing self-righteous and playing so holy. Be very, very careful with them and wary of them. You hear me? They know better than you. You playing the carnival and partaking in our culture and so on, they're not better than you. Don't make them believe that they're better than you. So we had a very successful carnival. A very successful and peaceful carnival. No violence, no, it was really good. And I'm happy that the folks from Canada who got stuck here, like other people all around the world, because of the Air Canada strike. I'm happy this morning I saw on CNN International, Air Canada strike ends after airline and flight attendants reach tentative agreement. So they've reached a tentative agreement. You have to continue working on it, but at least flights will resume. Excuse me. Flights will resume, and those who got stuck here in Grenada, in a matter of days, they will be able to go back home, go back to work, and keep things going. All right? That is important. Our beloved Prime Minister and his team traveled to Carriacou, and they spent a long time there, couple days meeting and looking at possible projects and, the progress made in. Yes. So again, our beloved Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Deacon Mitchell, and the Honorable Tevin Andrew, Chief of Staff Teddy St. Louis, and a number of other, key figures within government. They were in Carriacou. They spent a number of days there, and it was very successful. Very successful. So keep it up. I say to people, Keith Mitchell was Prime Minister for 23 years and a half, and go ask him how many times he visited Carriacou, much less PT Martinique. All right? I saw only recently the Honorable Tevin Andrew handing over a number of Build Back Better homes to quite a number of families. Keep it up, my brother. Good going, boots on the ground. Folks, I want to say to you that the NNP will always condemn. They will always criticize. And they have avenues to do so. They have allies in the media who have always been loyal to them, who write and publish stuff, who actually talk, meaning they're on podcasts, they're on talk shows, they're on radio. They have always been loyal to the NNP. So you would always hear them. You would always get some kind of misinformation out there, some kind of gossip, some kind of propaganda, some kind of thing like that. But because our people are brighter and smarter and researching and understanding things more, it is very difficult for the NNP misinformation, lies, disinformation, gossip, propaganda to get through. But we have to continue to support our government. We have to continue to defend our government. Right? That's important. And our ministers of government. There are some bandwagonists who jump on board because NDC won and they want to be, the loudspeaker for a certain MP, my good pal, right? But that said individual who wants to be the loudspeaker will call different programs and say all kind of bad things about our prime minister. The individual hates our prime minister, but the individual is a bandwagonist and cannot convince anybody to support NDC. The individual is hated by ordinary people, by simple people. And people are seeing through the individual. Complain about this, complain about healthcare, complain about the hospital. And many a times is hearsay because the individual does not move about as you think, That individual is more or less home, what do you call it? In home, at home, every time, 99% of the time. Gossip, misinformation. But the individual wants to be relevant, right? It's a bandwagonist. It's a bandwagonist. The individual jump on after NDC won the election because the individual has beaten and angered NDC before. I'm telling you, bitter and sour. But the individual is not able to persuade anybody to speak to any home bung. Thank you, home bung. That's the term. The individual is home bung. But the individual wants to jump on and make people believe that, they know and they understand. People don't even study the individual. But I'm saying that the individual is a bandwagonist. Right? A Johnny come lately, jump on the bandwagon. She used to be around NDC before, playing thing. As she said, she's a old Garyite, right? She hate Maurice Bishop. She hate the revolution. She hate everything Maurice. And because our beloved prime minister, people see him as the reincarnated Maurice Bishop, right? Then she has a problem. Bitter and sour. That bandwagonist can't even speak to nobody around her to vote or support NDC. It's such a burning shame. But anyways, folks, we have to understand that as we get closer to the 4th year, a lot of attacks will come. A lot of attacks will come from all different angles. In fact, now they're beating their chest about some court matter that the first wrong, the company won government, right? The company won government the first wrong. But they don't understand. They're living in dreamland. Even if that company, because we know it was a set up thing by the NNP administration to make sure that their people, live good and enjoy it all. We know. But they have to understand, just as the NNP administration, the Keith Mitchell-led administration, did to Dorset Charles. Remember, Dorset won his case. Dorset died. Thanks to the NDC, got a little bit of the money. But he died not getting it. The majority of the money. For all the years and years and years. But he won his case against the NNP administration. So that should be a case in point. That should be a learning experience for those who beat in their chest, thinking that they're going to put a knife in the neck of the government to pay them anything. They must know that. The government could pay you $1 a day. And then, you have to wait for, 30 years to get it? 20 years to get it? And in fact, I will encourage the government not to honor this particular judgment. Appeal it all the way up to the Privy Council. And that would take a good 8 to 10 years. Appeal it at the Court of Appeal level and appeal it at the Privy Council level. All the way up. And even if you're not victorious, pay them $1,000 every month. Right? Every month $1,000. So you get $12,000 a year and you drag it on. Even if there is interest to it, you don't care about that. You're a government and it takes them 30 years to get it. And you penalize them, you punish them. Because we know what they have done and what they did. Right? And the other one to come, I'm saying that has to happen. You have to punish these people because they rob and rape from this, our dear country, the little resources, the little things that we, the little kakada that the country had. And they enrich themselves, in my belief, over the many, many years. So sometimes you have to teach them a lesson. You got to teach them a lesson. And for me, if it is up to me, I tell you, I will teach them a lesson. Because, this politics requires firmness. It requires putting your feet down from time to time and making them know who's the boss. All right? That's key. So while you want to honor the court decision, right, sometimes you got to make these people know that you may win there, but you're not going to get that money just so. All right? So that's what they want. They're not patriotic Grenadians. They don't want good for Grenada. All they want is power. But to get power, they believe Grenada needs to be at its lowest. Grenada needs to be flat on its face. That is what they believe. And they are working towards that, to undermine, to sabotage, to spread propaganda, misinformation, and that kind of stuff. That's what they do. And they have avenues to do it. Because they have allies within many of the departments, many places, media, business, we could go on and on. Thank God Grenadians are wiser. Grenadians are on the ball. Right? Very important. Folks, I want to encourage you to register. We have seen a great number of people registering over the carnival period, which says a lot. Right? It says a lot. And you have to continue doing that. Registration is key. Because when the election is called, of course you will know in advance. And we have to organize and prepare our people to go out there and vote. And vote bigly. Right? That's important. Very important. Because to defeat those who are out there, I consider them enemies of progress. We have to register and we have to make sure that our people go out there and vote. That is important. Registration and going out there and vote. So every time you come, take time, get registered. If you're young, reaches the age of 18, make sure that they are registered. Because it is a numbers game. It boils down to numbers at the end of the day. All right? Registration is key. So I want to urge you. So we saw a good amount of people registering around the carnival period, in the lead up to carnival and after. Let's keep that up. The next big occasion would be what? Christmas? Right, Christmas. People will be coming home to spend time with their family and with their friends. Take the opportunity. to register. All right, that's key. Then you have New Year's, you have Easter, and continue with Carnival again. But remember, by the time Easter, between Easter and Carnival, that's 4 years. That's 4 years. So we have to be constantly working on registration and organizing ourselves, right? Because what we want is a 50th effect. See what happened for the 50th anniversary of independence? We want a similar thing to happen for the next election, because we have to win more seats. We have to take more constituencies come the next election. But we have to be organized. We have to be focused. We have to have that mindset, because it's Grenada first. We are putting Grenada first, the development of Grenada, Carriacou, and PT Martinique. But we must organize ourselves. Our people here at home, we must mobilize them and organize them. They're benefiting tremendously from this government in many different ways, which is great. Our government is at work. Historically, when, the previous administration and even the previous NDC, you would get people saying certain things, right? Saying certain things on radio and TV and all about the place, on blogs and so on. But you're not hearing that. You go around the country and people have really good things to say about the government and their performance. But the record is there to show. Any reasonable thinking Grenadian, any logically thinking Grenadian will conclude that this government is working for the people, is working diligently to bring development and opportunities for our people. And it is important that we do not return instead of returning good, we return ungratefulness. We don't want that. Because if you listen to the other side, if you listen to the NNP, they're not telling you about their plans or their programs or any initiative that they have. All they do, they murmur, they yap, they complain, they grind, they groan. That can't run country. That can't develop country. You're not even hearing Emlyn Pay, right? You're never hearing this woman. She's not even being talked about. If you ask people in Grenada, who's the opposition leader? They don't know. They may even say Keith Mitchell. They don't know, right? But at the end of the day, we have to organize ourselves. We have to make sure that our people are registered to vote come the next election. And the next election is so important that nothing should come in the way of preventing you from returning, or preventing you from voting, or making sure that your young ones who reach the age of 18, 19, 20, or whatever, that they vote. We need to go all out to make sure that happens through hard work. Very important. All right? Also, remember that you have constituency offices besides those for government, meaning MPs on the government side. They have a $10,000 constituency allowance. So don't believe the only office you can go to ask for assistance is NDC or MPs on the government side offices. Because there are some people who believe that. That's the only place they could go. You can go also to the MPs on the opposition side. Visit Emlyn Pear's office if she has one. Visit Kate Lewis' office if she has one. Visit Keith Mitchell's office if he has one. Visit Clarice Modest's office if he has one, or if she has one. Visit Peter David's office if he has one. Because they, every month, get $10,000 as constituency allowance to do things in the constituency. So don't only knock on the doors of those on the government side, the MPs on the government side. You must also do that for those on the NNP side too. When you see them, ask them for stuff. Challenge them. Right? Challenge them for stuff too. Because they're getting the money to do things in the constituency. I'm happy to see that there is a significant delay in getting these new vehicles. Right? I'm happy to see that. If it was up to me, the constituency allowance would be cut from those opposition MPs. I would remove it from them and not give them nothing. Let them go and sell saltfish and bakes and fish cake and so on to raise funds in to do anything in the constituency, because the majority of them, they're politically minded. It's all about the politics. It's not about people and the development. No. If it was up to me, they would not get a 10,000 constituency allowance. Right? So I'm happy to see that there is a delay in giving them this vehicle. From all indications, it seems as though there is a hold on that, which is great. Because what they would do with these vehicles is use it for their political work. Let them get their own vehicle and do their political work. Right? So I'm happy. There are a number of things that, we spoke about, we advocated for, and we're seeing it coming to life. Which is good, which is great. Right? The whole concern regarding radio stations, some radio stations. Whoever pays the piper calls the tune. Statutory bodies, they pay to keep your radio station on air. And the statutory bodies are creatures of government. There's a line minister who is responsible for those statutory bodies. But you get money from those statutory bodies and you spend a lot of hours condemning government, attacking government, criticizing government, and unjustifiably so. Without facts, without evidence. But when the month comes close, you look forward to government, creatures of government, statutory bodies, pumping money into your radio station. How fair can that be? How fair can that be? It's just not fair. So work is well on its way in that particular area. Because you know me, I operate surgically. There must be some adjustments. There must be some adjustments. You can't be fed by this hand and you want to cut it out. That's a hand that's feeding you. But you want to cut it out? That can never be right. So things are happening. Right? Things are happening. Gradually. We're getting there. Gradually. But folks, we have to remain focused. We have to keep our eyes on the prize. Come the next election, it will be like a movie. We will win more and more seats. Right? But it's through hard work, dedication, organization, strategy, remain in focus. We have to be willing to volunteer our time and effort and the resources to make it happen. If you believe that the first election was, as we would say in Grenada, quote unquote, wicked or bad, or, uh, you know, surprise or big in terms of victory or whatever, the next election, it will be a movie. It will be like a movie. By 1 o'clock, we will already know how many seats we have won next election. By 1 o'clock next election, we would already know. I'm telling you. But folks, I want to wish you all the best on this very day, right? I will be back with you tonight. Last night, I had some internet issues, and quite a number of people in this area had a similar thing. So I wasn't able to come on last night. But those things do happen when you're dealing with technology, right? So tonight, I will be on tonight, God's willing. All right? That's important. I want to wish you all the best. Take good care. And bye for now. And always remember,